So Kristen, you do all of this improv, and then you decide to what? Take the grand leap over into doing open mics. How did that transition for you?
Yeah, so I took another class at Improv Boston, but on Intro to Stand-Up.
Right.
And then I started slowly but surely going to open mics. Open mics in Boston are scary as hell because people in Boston are really, it's not like going to an open mic in Indianapolis.
Right.
Completely different experience. So I started doing that. And then I took a second stand-up class with a woman who was on Last Comic Standing.
Okay.
And she was our teacher and she was wonderful. And then with another student in class, we started running our own monthly show in Cambridge, right by MIT.
Okay.
And then I would do more open mics and shows, and I did some festivals and things like that. So slowly but surely I started getting going, and then the pandemic hit.
So just for the three people watching that may not know, why don't you tell us the difference between what a Boston comedy club and the Boston comedy scene is like, and how just raw and nasty it can be versus the kind of demure Indianapolis scene?
So, okay, I'll give you an example. I did an open mic in Boston, and I knew a guy from my class. I went up and talked to him, told him how everyone loved his set at their class show, and he's like, oh, okay, and then he walks away. I knew one other guy who'd been in the scene a long time, said hi to him. Nobody talked to me before my set. I got up, I didn't do well, and I sat down, and the guy who was kind of a veteran came over to me right away and said, you know, if you're going to do a joke about something everyone else has got done, you have to make sure it's funny.
Oh.
And I'm like, duh. You know, I didn't want to say to him, I knew he was right, but it's like, that was kind of a shitty thing to say. Like, yeah. You know, that was obvious. And then he just got up and left. But then the first mic I did in Indianapolis, Ray Hensley was running it, and we went in the room and we all talked, and he encouraged everybody to stay to the end to be supportive and be positive and support each other. And then like we kumbaya'd at the end and went out and had an open mic. And I mean, people were nice to me. They were complimentary. They were friendly. It was totally bizarre to me. I was shocked.
I can't imagine. So I think if I started in that setting, I don't know if I would have continued. Like if because I was welcomed, like Ray is such a sweet guy. Like, you know, at any mic that I've done in Indianapolis, the first few times I've done it, people have been really encouraging before and after, and they've been sociable. Had I been in an environment, because, you know, it's nerve-wracking as it is to get up there and perform. If I had started out in that kind of setting, I don't know that I'd continue to get up there and be abused like that.
Now, do you think that a part of that, now one, Boston obviously has an established long history. We have Mike Epps.
Yeah.
Boston has a long history of amazing comedians. So do you think there's a little bit of that guarding the old school ways? So those niceties, Indianapolis has to build a comedy scene, which means you have to be nice to get people to show up, which means maybe you get some hacky people that show up, that Boston sort of maybe kicks those people to the curb early on by treating them like assholes.
After living in Boston for 8 years, it's Boston. It's definitely, I mean, we have never had so many people just, you know, the big screw you.
Wow.
It's just that's one of the reasons why we left, because my husband just couldn't stand the general lack of politeness and courtesy and friendliness.
I was in Boston once a long time ago for a training for infrared cameras, whatever, it's not important. One of the things that I noticed there, aside from the fact that seafood was amazing, when people went through stop signs, 6 people went through a stop sign. Like one person led the charge of a bunch of other people going through stop signs. And it was like that everywhere. Absolute disregard for any type of rules of the road. It was like everything was a yield sign.
Well, they do have a thing there where if it's a red light and you don't have a turn signal, when the light turns green, if the first car is turning left, they get to go and you let them go. That's their thing. And I have beeped at people for that, and I've been flicked off for that because of that. And they do it constantly. And my husband had a colleague who moved to California after growing up in Boston. And within the first week, she got in an accident because she did that because she was taught that's what you do. She got TV. Like, nobody else does this except for you Bostonians.
They let her out into civilization and she didn't know what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great. So Boston, in a lot of ways, is like that island off the coast of India. If you go into it, you may just be shot up with spears. It's best to just leave that little part of time forgotten and on its own.
Yeah.
I didn't like my time there. I thought everybody was there. I was there on St. Patrick's Day, listening to Shipping Up to Boston by the Drop Dead Murphys. Drop Dead Murphys. Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody's ringtone was that. It was when it was brand new. Everybody had it on. It was played 1,000 times at the bar. Yeah.
They do every year.
Yeah, man. We hung out with some girls and they made me pancakes. It was strange. So.
Oh. Your wife's listening to this.
That's all right. I bet. So they did. They made me pancakes. So, so you're out in Boston. You're getting in the scene. You're having to really kind of get beat up a little bit, I'm assuming, from what you're saying out there. So, and then you decide to stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, I got enough shows. I got booked for enough shows that I was happy and it was moving along. I got into this, the North Carolina Comedy Festival. It was their first year doing it. I got into that, so that kind of like bolstered me. And I got to do, some good shows up in Maine,
right,
and Connecticut and stuff like that, that there was enough positive that the negative didn't totally ruin it for me, but I feel much better being here, and I think people enjoy my comedy a little bit more here. I think out there, people are trying to be much more edgy, let's say, or what they would consider edgy, let's say that.
That blue and white flowered blouse you were wearing with the blue jeans was pretty edgy, though, in the video that I saw.
Real edgy, yeah, okay.
It was super edgy. It would have been really edgy in Wanamaker.
Mm-hmm.
Small town on the southeast side of Indianapolis. Okay, so eventually you guys pack up, leave MIT. You said your husband was a professor out there.
Yep.
You guys pick up, moved to Indiana, West Lafayette.
Yep.
And he takes up residency there, heading up there, whatever department, and you are now local to us.
Boiler up.
Yeah.
Boiler up. We like it.
Oh, God. I'm sorry. Purdue's a nice place. I work there part-time, but I just can't. I'm from Illinois. My husband went to Illinois. So we're Illini fans.
Right.
We don't hate Purdue. It's not like Michigan. Like he almost got recruited for a job at Michigan years ago, and he said, hell no. He's like, I will never, I won't live on freezing Michigan, let alone there. So yeah, so I like Purdue. It's just I'm never gonna be rah-rah.
Right. Well, you can't.
Yep.
There's a certain Big Ten allegiance that pulls you away.
Yeah.
Understood. I'm an IU guy, so I totally get it. Purdue's terrible. Horrible.
Well, they're terrible to you guys at football games.
IU
IU
hasn't won.
sucks,
IU
fans.
sucks.